Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload we'll be talking about the historic cold, as I called it in my title. Now I just want to make something very clear at the beginning of this video. I don't like to use the word record-breaking or historic in my titles, and I used to use those words, those extreme words, a bit more in my previous videos, even a year ago. I've decided to limit that, right? But only use it when appropriate. And some of these temperature anomalies are going to be historic, and you may be wondering, how is it historic? It's something that happens in the past. Historic, in my opinion, and usually with the weather, is when history will be made. And history will be made, new records will be broken 100%. So I feel as if this is an appropriate way to word it. Before we get in, if you guys like anything you see throughout this video, check out the channel, watch the other videos, and see if you guys would like to subscribe. Also consider liking the video. That's a great way to support this channel if you would like, obviously. And I will put a poll into this video right now, and it will pop up in the upper right hand corner. I just want to ask whether or not you guys would buy merchandise if I made it, like a cool t-shirt, maybe a sweatshirt. And I need like an actual answer of an estimate, because if only a few people want it, I won't do it. If a few more people would like it, like 70 people would buy it, then I would definitely make it. But again, please answer that truthfully, and you don't feel bad for saying no, because it helps me out. So let's get into this without my talking. Alright, so the European model, let's start going over that model, because this really gives us a glimpse at what's to come. So usually right now at around October, fall, we see these contrasts, and last year there were similar anomalies, just not as extreme. I just want to mention, for example, 16 to 20 degrees. 20 degrees below Fahrenheit, or below average, is usually a pretty big anomaly. Say if in the wintertime your average low is 10, 20 degrees below, you'd be seeing negative 10. That's not the near extent of what this is going to show. You can see we're already looking at some anomalies in the negative, almost 40 degrees below average. And again, this isn't below zero, this is below average. Let's move this forward. You can see that we have the warm air centered itself across the southeast and eastern United States, with the cold air positioned its flanks across the north, northwest, and southwestern Canada. As we push this into tomorrow, or today as I'm recording this video, Friday, we notice that the cold air pushes itself further to the south. However, with an approaching storm system, a bit of that cold air gets shot back up, and we get some warmer air trying to fight back in. You can see that this cool air does spread pretty far inland, but it's not nearly as cold as what we see up here. But negative 10, negative 15 degrees below average. But at the same time, in the coastal areas out ahead of that cold front, could be looking at 10 to 15 degrees above average. Let's quickly take a look at this into the future, and this is where all, if you will, all hell breaks loose. So notice that we start seeing the storm passing through. At this point, the precipitation's kind of all over the place, but I want to focus on the temperatures. Look at that, Sunday during the day, look at those anomalies. Many locations registering almost 40 degrees below average. In fact, some locations quite getting pretty darn close to 50 degrees below average. Let's say it's a warm June day, 75 degrees in Chicago, and the sun is out, everything is going well, but all of a sudden a massive cold front passes through and drops the temperature 50 degrees below average. You would go from a 75 to a 25 in June. These readings are just absolutely ridiculous, and let's just continue pushing this. I'll show you the temperatures in just a bit. And notice that the cool air continues spreading to the south and east. Again, we have our saving grace is really that it kind of dwindles as it pushes to the south and east. However, 300, 400 miles off the mountains, it really is still cold, and many locations, negative 40 to negative 50 degrees below average. And then obviously a huge area just generally 10 to 15 degrees below average. You could see Arizona, Southern California, Nevada, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana. Southwestern Canada gets it at the beginning, right here. But this spills into Iowa, Minnesota, Texas, Oklahoma. All of these areas you see in that red right there, that you're going to get a killing frost, killing freeze, no doubt about it. Even if it's way above your, even if it's not your typical time. Notice with this, as we push this into Tuesday, Monday, I should have gone over the timing a bit better. Really, again, much of the Northwest will remain cold into this weekend, but this really starts spreading into Sunday evening, into Monday morning. All hell breaks loose, as I mentioned. We start seeing tons of cold air pushing into Nebraska, Kansas, South Dakota, Kansas, Colorado, Texas. And then as we push into Tuesday morning, we see again the temperatures slide further and further to the south. Portions of Texas, even portions of Mexico, seeing almost 30 degrees below average. And as we push this forward into Wednesday and Thursday, you can see the southeast gets saved, and the only reason for that is because another storm system starts developing, and that storm system obviously brings out a bit of warm air out ahead of it. But this system is very interesting actually, because we could be looking at it making its way into the northeast, possibly as a snow system or some of that sort. And you can see then it's followed by another cool down. This right here is something we'd more likely see. 15 degrees below average, 16. Not 50 degrees below average. That is just, I can't emphasize that. That may not seem significant, it's just a number, but oh gosh, it really is. So let's take a look at this. This is now tomorrow in the morning, so this has already passed, since this video will be uploaded around 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Notice we have that little bit of that warm air mixing in right here because of that storm system we have going on, a clear defined cold front from the previous storm. As we push this forward, you get that the temperatures rebound, but much of it, this is the daytime high Saturday. Many areas staying below freezing, and some areas in the mountains and the northwest staying below zero. And then as Sunday night or Saturday night approaches, we could be looking at again the temperatures breaking their leashes, if you will, and just -10 to -15 degrees below zero in some of these cases. So you look at this and you may be looking at this and being like, oh, it's the mountains, they're typically seeing these type of temperatures. Let me tell you, that's as far as from the truth as it can be. So let's take a look at, I'm gonna look at that. Did you see that reading right there? It was -29 Fahrenheit. But even for a location like Nebraska right there, northwestern Nebraska, 6 Fahrenheit Monday morning. If they're 50 degrees below average, they usually should be staying around 56 at this time of the year. So this could honestly be the reading, because just because Nebraska is Nebraska and people say, oh, it's 6 degrees, it's Nebraska. This would be a whole different situation. There'd be much more coverage if this was out further to the east. Thankfully, usually these cold air masses are mostly limited to the mountains and the mid plains, but that they're not, it's not really a boundary that they're confined to. They could definitely spill out, except this pattern is blocking that. But notice that, again, say these locations 50 degrees below average, 7, that would be 57 during their nighttime lows. During the daytime highs, look at that. Daytime highs not getting out of the single digits. That's like, that's like New York, Chicago, Detroit. All those cities I named right there have around the same averages as central Nebraska at this time of the year. So if you live in New York and you have a hard time picturing this, just think about seeing 13 degrees on Monday. And during the nighttime, that's the daytime, during the nighttime, Monday morning, waking up to, you can see further portions right here, 4 or 5 degrees. So definitely unpleasant and record-breaking. Historic history will be made for sure in terms of records. And then you can see it starts moderating. Thankfully, this doesn't make its way very far into the eastern United States. And I say thankfully because that would just affect more people, not because of any value I hold higher, any locations of the United States. It's just that as it spreads further south and east, it would affect more people. It's better that this would affect as little people as possible. So this is still a bad scenario, but it's the best we could, I guess, have at this point. GFS model, let's take a glance at this. Let's go back to the 2-meter temperatures. Again, all these models are pretty accurate, they're pretty well agreement, so that leads us to think that they're accurate. Notice we have a cold front already, seeing some very cold temperatures into tomorrow across the Dakotas into Montana. Notice it does get spinned a bit further to the north, kind of stopped because of that cold system, but look at that. That is literally off the charts. It can't read that in much of these locations. This GFS, the key is not made for that, for those type of extremes, and that usually tells you, and quite literally, the meaning off the charts is applicable here. It's off the charts. You can't measure it. And notice that as we push this into Tuesday, the GFS definitely includes, again, quite a bit of cold air, especially look at that, portions of Texas, Oklahoma. Seeing very cold temperatures. Thankfully and hopefully, at this point, we're not 100% sure, but hopefully this does moderate and doesn't bring the worst into the east. Definitely you will feel some chill, as you can see, but that is not nearly 50 degrees below average. And the GFS does keep things active and interesting. But let's go to these 2-meter temperature shaded readings, and let's see how much these temperatures, how low they could get across portions of Oklahoma and Texas. This is your daytime high Tuesday, so if you live across these locations, panhandle of Oklahoma, many locations not getting above 32 degrees during the day, many locations in the night getting into the lower 20s. Minneapolis, 4-5 degrees maybe on a Monday or Tuesday morning. Chicago, depends on where. Northern Illinois, northwestern, away from the city, could be in the, maybe approaching the teens in the city, maybe not even getting below 32 degrees. But then you can see Wednesday it gets more active and it spreads further to the south and east, but also losing its intensity. So thankfully that cold air is more limited. But I just want to show you, this will probably be the best example I could give. Let's you can see this is slightly above average across Montana at this point, slightly below average. So something you would typically see. Let's take a look at the 2-meter temperature shaded. You can see 40s, 50s. Now let's take a look at something that may be going on this weekend. Look at that. 10, 13, 11. Those 40s and 50s that I showed you, that's typical of, Wisconsin, southern Michigan, northern Ohio. Just imagine your location seeing negative 10 to 15 degrees below Fahrenheit across some of these locations. Absolutely devastating cold, and will be most likely destructive in some sense. Livestock probably will be killed off by this quite a bit. Usually with these early cold snaps, there's always a livestock loss. So that's definitely a risk for these folks up here with those ridiculously cold temperatures. Let's look at the NAM 12K. This is like a higher resolution model, so let's see if it agrees or disagrees. Again, this only goes out to 84 hours, so that's why it's high resolution. But again, very warm conditions, but this is pleasant, this isn't. And notice as we push this, the NAM definitely does show those cold temperatures as well. The Canadian model, let's just quickly go over this. Canadian has been a strong advocate of very cold temperatures through this whole event. And again, you can see off the charts levels. You literally can't forecast that. And then that moves into much of the central and western United States. Though again, it does dwindle as it pushes into the south and east, thankfully. But there is plenty of cooler air. That's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.